If you're running AI agents or any kind of intense backend on the Cloudflare stack, then you know exactly how fast those bills can spiral out of control. So in this explainer, we're going to break down how you can take a $5,000 monthly bill and slash it to just $10 a month. Yeah, seriously, all by self-hosting. So let's paint a picture. Maybe this sounds familiar. You're a Series A founder, and you're just burning through $5,000 a month on Cloudflare Workers. You're using it for your agentic backends. Running D1 database queries, using Vectorize for RAG searches, pages for server-side rendering, the whole shebang. And sure, your junior devs, they love this serverless stream, but your senior engineers, they know what's really going on. At scale, those V8 isolates mean cold starts, and that is absolutely killing your app's latency. And look, this isn't just my opinion. The developer community is feeling this exact same pain. This comment from Hacker News just nails it perfectly. The convenience is great, we all get it, but it comes at an eye-watering cost when you compare it to a do-it-yourself solution. Let's just let that number sit there for a second. $5,000 every single month. Now, for a startup that's trying to grow, that's not just some line item on an expense report. That's a direct hit to your runway. That's capital that you could be using to actually build your product and grow your business. Right, and it's not just about the money you're paying at the end of the month. This whole serverless dream has some pretty serious technical catches that are kind of hidden in the fine print. And these are the things that really frustrate senior engineers because they directly hammer your performance and ultimately your user's experience. And that brings us to the main technical villain of this story, the cold start. So what is it? Well, it's that annoying delay you get when a serverless function has to wake up from being inactive. Cloudflare Workers use these things called V8 isolates, and while they're super lightweight on their own, when you scale up, the combined effect of all these little delays can add hundreds of milliseconds of latency to every single request. And this chart just says it all. I mean, look at the difference. With Cloudflare, you're constantly fighting this 100 to 500 millisecond delay. But with a self-hosted solution like OpenWorkers, which runs as a persistent process, that delay is just gone, 0 milliseconds. For any app where performance matters, that's an absolute game changer. But the performance issues are really only half the battle. The other huge problem, the one that keeps you up at night, is vendor lock-in. When you build your entire system on one company's proprietary tools, you're basically chaining yourself to their roadmap, their pricing, their everything. What are you going to do when they decide to kill a feature you depend on or just double the price overnight? This slide shows you exactly what that prison looks like. On the left, you've got Cloudflare's world D1, Vectorize, R2, KV. If you want to leave, you have to tear everything down and rebuild it from scratch. But on the right, you have the open source alternative with OpenWorkers. You can use standard tools you already know, like Postgres, Nats for messaging, any S3 storage you want. You are in complete control. So, what is this magical alternative? Well, say hello to OpenWorkers. It's a really powerful runtime built in Rust, and it's specifically designed to be a self-hosted replacement for Cloudflare Workers. And here's the best part. It matches the API. That means you can take your existing code and just run it, but on your own terms, on your own servers. Okay, so let's just quickly break down why this is so awesome. First, you get one-to-one API compatibility. That makes moving over incredibly easy. You completely get rid of cold starts. It's open source, MIT license, so there is 0 vendor lock-in. This makes it perfect for internal tools or anything where you need tight control over compliance and where your data lives. And it comes with open source connections for all the standard stuff you're probably using anyway. And the community is really starting to get behind this. This user here is talking about the developer experience, or DX. You get that same super simple, no-headache deployment that makes Cloudflare Workers so appealing, but you get it with all the freedom and control that can only come from hosting it yourself. And you might be thinking, this sounds like a huge migration project. Not at all. You can have this thing running in less than 2 hours. Seriously. You just clone the info repo, tweak one little environment file for your dashboard login, run a single Docker command, and then just copy over your existing worker code and config file. Boom. Your AI agent is now live on your own machine with no vendor in sight. So, what kind of massive, complicated server cluster do you need to power all this? None. You need a simple, cheap virtual private server. That's it. And there it is, the hero number. $10 a month. That's all it takes. You can use a provider like Hetzner, get a powerful little ARM-based server that can handle this workload with no problem for a tiny, tiny fraction of the cost. Your burn rate just evaporates overnight. Let's just put this all side by side, because the comparison is just wild. Your infrastructure cost goes from $5,000 a month, maybe more, all the way down to $10. Vendor lock-in goes from being a huge strategic risk to a total non-issue. And what about your speed, your development velocity? Instead of a formal 2-week production cycle, you can now have an idea, hack on it, and get it deployed in 2 hours.
So what does this actually mean for your business? Well, it means you save a ton of cash that you can put back into the company. You can run these complex, long-running AI agents without ever worrying about Cloudflare's CPU time limits again. You can even get clever and use what's called global VPS arbitrage, hosting your servers in cheaper regions like India to save even more money. It's just a pure infrastructure win with zero vendor bloat.
So we'll end with this question. Is the so-called convenience of a managed serverless platform really worth the insane cost and the massive strategic risk of being locked in? Well, for more and more developers, the answer is a clear and resounding no. The power is finally shifting back to open, self-hosted infrastructure. If you're ready to take back control, go fork the OpenWorkers info repository on GitHub and deploy it today.